is being recorded.
The recording for this session will be posted. We apologize for the technical difficulties. This session will be recorded and the recording. I'd like to also invite you to join us on our social media. We are live on Twitter, so feel free to share your comments and connect with us at FL Shines. Send in your questions and interact with us that way as well. Now, I'd like to introduce our speaker for the evening, Maggie Miller. She is the lead field trainer representing Florida statewide career planning system, My Career Shines, powered by Cooter. She travels throughout Florida to conduct one-on-one and virtual professional development sessions at secondary schools, community colleges, universities, state employment agencies. She really is all over Florida providing support and training to teach our users about My Career Shines and how they can use the system to help their students. Maggie, we're excited to join us. Again, apologies for the technical difficulties, but the floor is yours. And Maggie, you are muted. If we can have you unmute your microphone.
Can you all hear me?
We can hear you, Maggie, yes.
Wonderful, thank you. So yes, I'm Maggie Miller, training all over Florida as you explained. So we're going to jump right in. It looks like I've got to, okay, here we go. Okay, so just so you know, if you're joining us, that we have covered the state of Florida. I'm covering the green and the blue regions at this time. And we have a fabulous trainer in the South 7 districts of Florida. So after this session, if you need to reach out for training, we will get you set up and on our schedule. I'm a certified career advisor. I do work for the company Cooter Incorporated that developed My Career Shines as we developed the system for the state of Florida, working with University of West and Florida Virtual Campus. This is my contact information if you need to reach me after this session. So, excuse me. So what I'd like to do is kind of explain the where we all came from and how this is structured. So My Career Shines has replaced the system that was in place for 25 years in the state of Florida, called Florida Choices. So now all of our legislatively funded monies, they are managing our contract through the University of West Florida. When we go live in just a few moments, you will see that My Career Shines, which is what I'm representing, is actually a service of Florida Shines, the larger website that's helping our students across the state make their post-secondary transitions. And still we have DOE involved and supporting everything that we're doing. We do just a little bit about our career assessments. We do adhere to the latest technical standards for reliability, validity, and fairness. And these are some of the entities that we've partnered with. I apologize for my slides jumping around. So if someone asked you what is My Career Shines, what we'd want you to explain is that My Career Shines is a shared service. All of it is funded by the Florida legislature to support residents in the state of Florida. My Career Shines is all about career awareness and readiness. So as long as a person has a zip code in the state of Florida, regardless of their age, they can have a free account to help them plan what they want to be when they grow up. Okay, and I'm doing it again. So we're just about to go live. What I'd like for you to kind of wrap your mind around for our high school students, that we use 3 assessments. These assessments help guide a student toward a career by career clusters and pathways, and then what occupations might be supporting those career clusters and pathways. And then if they decide to make a post-secondary transition into finding a program or major, we can help them find those institutions and also help them find financial aid. They can apply for their FAFSA within the system and also access 281 scholarships. So as you can see, there's much more you can do with My Career Shines, but focusing on interests, skills, and work values, exploring careers and occupations, identifying educational requirements for jobs, finding those scholarships that I just mentioned, developing a 4-year plan, which happens in middle school in the state of Florida, and then finally in high school, students are able to develop an electronic portfolio. So they create resumes, cover letters, and references. Not sure what's happening with our slides. So the last thing that I'd like to explain is that we do use a platform called Responsive Design, which means a student could use any smart device that could be in a computer lab, as we used to do, but any kind of smart device. So essentially, they could be at their dental appointment applying for scholarships if they have a smartphone. All right. So I think we're going to go ahead and explore the system. I have right at about 20 minutes. So this, just keep in mind, this is a bird's eye view, a very high level overview of My Career Shines. Okay. I am trying to get the link. There we go. Well, we seem to be popping back and forth. Ashley, if you can hear me. There you go. Thank you. All right. Okay, so I'm going to log in here in my training account. All right. So this is the landing page for My Career Shine. So when a student creates an account, they have this dashboard that they look at. Just some things I want to say about the dashboard real quick is that there is a Spanish toggle, and I'm hovering over here, English to Spanish. We have a parent portal that's accessed through their account settings. The last and latest results of their 3 career assessments are here on the dashboard. And so you can see that we have a career interest assessment, skills confidence assessment, and SUPERS work values. I would like to say that what I would like to say is that in seventh, let me back up, in 6th grade, there is only one assessment, and that's the one I'm hovering over called the Career Interest Assessment. In 7th and 8th grade, students have access to the Skills Confidence Assessment, and starting in 9th grade, students have access to the Work Values Inventory. So our high school students throughout the state have access to all 3. And when students take these assessments, they are provided the top career pathways based on their assessment results, as you can see here in this box. But what I'd like to do with the time remaining is to show you around this menu to the left. So I'm going to click Explore Occupations. So after a student takes their assessments, they can actually begin to explore occupations based on their assessment results. And I would like to share that these occupations are organized and provided based on a student's expected level of education. And I think that in my sample account, I registered as that level of education being a person seeking a bachelor's degree. So within the system, they can start to look at how did my assessment results start to align and help provide me with some direction. What I like to do here is click on this word interest. So we're looking for alignment with interest as a priority. This is really important because we know that without high interest, we don't have happiness in a career. And so students can choose an occupation to explore. I'd like to share with you also, you see this little sun. The sun and green leaf, I don't have a green leaf on this page, but some occupations have a little green leaf by them. And that would indicate occupations that are growing over the next decade, which is very important that students know how to look at trend data regarding occupations. So here, I'm going to click on one occupation, and I will click around here rather quickly just so you can see the kind of information students have access to. So here they can learn about an occupation, the ins and outs of it. Of course, the salary, we'll come to that in a little bit later. There are videos built in throughout that are all closed captioned. So when we go up to an occupation, you'll see these different tabs across the top. So the tabs, I love task and working conditions because this is where a student can start to think about what does it mean in this case to be a social worker on an everyday basis. What does it look like on a day-to-day basis? So information is a lot of times our students, I learn this as I work with them, that they think they know what an occupation may entail, but they really don't have an idea until they read about the task and conditions. I also want to pop over here for our high school students out there listening, parents and counselors, that a student can also find a major. And when I click on one of these majors, don't have the time to do it in this session, but when I click on one of these majors, it directs me to schools in Florida offering these particular majors to support different occupations. The salary and outlook is also powerful. We can take a statewide versus nationwide peek at what a salary would be for a social worker, for example. And then one of my favorite partnerships right now is Department of Economic Opportunity, which means I can take an occupation such as social work, and I could decide, if I am in, let's say, Columbia County, which is Workforce Region 7, I can see the percentage of growth in that area, and this right now is out to 2024. I understand we have an update coming, so that year will increase out. So, so that's looking at local workforce data is important, especially when students are making decisions on where they will live to become, to work in certain occupations and making those predictions um, uh, for their future. Okay, so I'm going to skip Explore Majors. Those of you that will receive training, we will go into that in depth, but I'm given such a short amount of time for this session, so I'm going to skip down to Plan for Education. Okay, so Plan for Education, what I want you to know here is that you can actually move up some. You can actually find schools in Florida offering schools in Florida offering the majors that I mentioned earlier, or also you can filter based on distance, or let me just open up some of these filters for you. We have 394 different institutions in Florida, and as you can see, there are many ways to filter, and then when you filter out, you can actually click on one of these schools and see all kinds of data about cost, tuition fees, more ways to receive financial aid, just anything you need to know about each of these institutions. And the best part is you can actually apply to these institutions by clicking on any of them. I'm going to move kind of down that list on the menu on the left as we go through. I'm going to also show you, if you're here as a college junior or senior, I want you to know that we have practice entrance exams for SAT and ACT. We've partnered with SAT and, ACT and the Khan Academy. So these are actually live and free to our users. The other thing I'd like to show you from this menu is search for scholarships and grants. This is a scholarship database. We have 281 active scholarships at this time. So all you have to do is click on any of these, read if you're eligible, and then you can apply to those scholarships. Okay, I'm continuing down the menu here on the left. Hit the home button. Okay, here we go. Just so you know, since I'm jumping into the portfolio next, students can learn all about the interview process under Plan for Work, and they can actually find a job right here in this section of My Career Shines. We are moving down to the portfolio, and I believe our portfolio really sets us apart of any kind of competition out there, because these unique portfolios are designed based on our students' strengths and their skills and talents. We do have a resume builder, and of this section, I'm choosing to just focus on the resumes, but realize that you can actually include references, build cover letters, and build resumes. And I don't think I know, based on my feedback and training, this is one of the favorites for our school counselors and our students that we work with. But a resume is actually built with a fillable form, which means I'm just simply going to take these sections, as you can see. Let me go up a little bit. You can see the sections here, and once the excuse me, and once the sections are complete, then they kind of get grayed out because they're now editable. So we've got a summary, a work experience, education, skills, certifications, language, honors and awards, and organizations. And then once they complete those fillable sections, they are editable. And I just want to show you, this is what wows everyone in training, is whenever you finish those sections, you simply hit preview, and we do all of the organization we do all of this behind the scenes for the user, which is amazing. I don't know if anybody out there has ever created a resume on a typewriter or word processor. It's kind of amazing that you can click one button and we organize all of that for the user. All right, so we are going to move on down here to, I'm skipping my favorites. That's something we talk about quite a bit in training, but it's important that students are favoriting as they go along. And favoriting occupations, scholarships, very important to favorite those, to favorite occupations, or even post-secondary institutions. We also have a document uploader, and what I like to say in training is that this document uploader should showcase two areas. Showcase a person's skills and talents. So any kind of document that might showcase a skill or a talent, but also on the resume, anything you say you've earned or achieved. So if a student has earned an industry certification, for example, they would want to be transparent and upload that document here. Or an honor, National Honor Society, a CTE, if they're in a CTE program and they have earned a CTE industry certification. So you can hold up to 20 documents, which is handy, and they can be uploaded in various forms. Okay, also I'd like to share that we have a SMART goal setter. This has been probably one of our most recent additions, but a person can create a SMART goal, and I'll just kind of show you around this. These are some samples right here that we've created. So I'm going to click on this sample, take the SAT. A student can also learn, there's a little tutorial here about how to create a SMART goal. The other thing I'd like to show you is you create your goal here, and that's where the goal name is. You tell the goal setter the goal type. In this case, it's a high school goal. In the goal category, would be academic in this case. And then what's most powerful, I believe, about our SMART goal setter is you can create action steps, little bite-sized steps to get to that final goal with also, as you can see, individual deadlines. So our SMART goal setter has been a favorite new addition in our system. Okay, now I'm going to move down to my academics. I'm not going to spend a lot of time here because I'm assuming we've got mostly high school joining us, high school counselors, parents, and students. But in 8th grade, as part of our new recent legislation, it is required that a student creates a 4-year plan. So our high school students will be coming into high school as a requirement to create a 4-year plan. And I'm just going to peek and let you see what one looks like. We have all of our courses in the course code directory built into our system. And so the student basically plans out, I'll share 9th grade what it looks like. So they plan out, and now we can actually add grades, the grades that are achieved. But the real beauty of this 4-year planner is once it's complete, and again, this is a requirement through new legislation, the student can actually see, and parent at a glance, what is my plan for the next 4 years with all of their core and electives or programs of study. And that could also include any CTE program. So this is, we have the tool to support that new legislation, which is very nice. And I'm going to go back over here. Okay. And with the next 5 minutes, I'm going to share with you what high school students only, high school students have access to, and that's called My eProfile. What My eProfile is once content is put into My Career Shines through the resume and the assessments, a student has access to a free electronic portfolio. And if you notice what I'm hovering over, this URL here, this URL can be shared during an interview for a scholarship or a post-secondary institution or a job. And we'll peek at the portfolio, but this is how students actually share. They get their own URL that they own once they create an account. They pick a color scheme. We've got some social media if that's appropriate, the photograph, and then here's a little summary paragraph just kind of welcoming you to the e-profile. You've got how to contact a person with this contact information, and then you can choose to have someone view your favorites, assessment results, and which resume. So there's the one that we just peeked at a few minutes ago. There's the resume. We have a place to add references. I don't know if you just saw that. There you go. And that is part of the job search tools that I skipped over, but it's also a fillable form. And then you've also got all of those documents where we were just there a few minutes ago. So a student can save, and when they get their accounts, we do this in training. So we do save and publish, and then that's when a student gets their very own URL. And then when a person shares that URL, I'll show you the preview. Okay, so this is the web page that our company, what we did is we took all of the information that's content related on the resume and the assessment data and the references and cover letters, and we have built it to be now part of a person's web page. So this is the part that I chose to show you. And then you can see these three sections here that are, they'll just kind of fold up once I click on one. So the resume I showed you a few minutes ago actually looks different because now it's part of my web page. And the student doesn't have to do any of this work. We do this for the student behind the scenes. And then my references are also, and everything just kind of folds up. And then my portfolio, these are those documents I can actually open and view to see the skills and talents that a person has achieved or say that they've achieved or become. So this is how we are going to end this session today, looking at this like a bird's eye view. Like I said earlier, there's a lot in the system that I just don't have the time to share with you, but just know that you will know how to reach me in case you need training. And I think at this point, we are going to stop and take questions. So.
Absolutely, Maggie. Thank you so much. Like you mentioned, I'd like to invite our audience to send in their questions. And while we do that, I want to thank you again. Such a wealth of resources, even in this high-level overview that you provided. There's so much for students to get started and begin to explore, make a plan, just lots of aspects that they can start playing with, Maggie. We do have a couple of questions I want to ask. Some of them are just reiterating some of the information you shared with us. Maggie, is there a cost for students watching today if they want to open their account and start exploring with the system? Is there a cost?
Absolutely not, because this is legislatively funded. The taxpayers in Florida are footing the bill, but it does make the system available at no cost for every resident in the state of Florida. So as our focus was not our adult system, but a student can actually transition and continue using the system for free as they transition into their world of work.
That is good to know. And so related to their account, if they change schools or if they transition from middle school to high school and college, can they carry their account with them?
Yes, as I just mentioned, the transition to college or the workforce. Also, within the system, of course, it was one of the areas I skipped over because of our time, but in the students' account settings, they can change their grade level, they change their school, and then that data migrates to that new location. So the administrators of the systems, the teachers and counselors, they don't have to start over with students.
Right. And Maggie, you shared a little bit about sharing documents or creating or uploading documents to the system. Just to reiterate, that students can have more than one resume, cover letter, and other information and versions saved in the system.
Absolutely. A lot of times when we see students create 2 resumes or more, it's usually because they want a general work resume. And then you may have a student that has a specialty, maybe at a performing arts school, maybe music or JROTC. So a student can have multiple resumes or just one, and as many as they want.
Absolutely, to highlight those features that are most important for that particular viewer. Maggie, I also wanted to ask you, related to college exploration and scores, if students are looking at going to college out of state, is that something they can explore within the system?
Absolutely. We have a filter by state because My Career Shines was designed for Florida. Florida's the default, but you can explore by states as well and find majors, as I mentioned earlier, by school.
Okay, so that's good to know. Now, related to testing, good question here. Will test scores for tests like ACT, SAT, are those scores listed anywhere inside the My Career Shine system for a specific student?
Yes, there's a place to self-report any kind of SAT, ACT, PSAT, TABE scores, anything. You can label it and upload and post that score. And then what you would do is turn around and upload the proof of that score in the My Documents that we saw earlier.
And I want to highlight, Maggie, that students can get started as early as middle school. We do have a question from a parent who's wondering if most high schools introduce this system in a specific class or perhaps after high school meeting, or is it something that's done at home? How can they learn more about it?
I would say all of the above, actually. I know that our big force right now is this new legislation for the parent on the line. So a middle schooler would have to take a career planning course. And most of my training right now is with those teachers and counselors. And it's usually introduced in sixth, seventh, or eighth, mainly eighth grade, in a social studies class. And the theory behind that is that we're building citizens in our social studies classes, and this is a way to help transition our students into the world of work. But we have we have several districts that have district plans that include every grade level. So it's kind of different by district, and then, some hear about it by coming to one of our sessions, and then they run full force with it. But right now, the majority of our requests for training are in middle school. But our goal, our absolute goal, my personal goal, is that every student in the state of Florida has access from sixth grade to 12th grade, and then all adults as well.
Absolutely, and it's certainly a goal of the state, or goals to support the state's goals and ultimately support the students. So that would be wonderful. And for that parent, I'll mention that as an adult, you have access to My Career Shines. My Career Shines expands to college students and adults. Maggie today, of course, covered middle and high school, but there's a module there for you, Maggie. Your profile is a great example of that as well. So that's a wonderful resource if you are looking at tracking your career progress as well.
Absolutely.
So Maggie, another question related to how students find out more, for example, an eighth grader, how they find out if their student will have a session with My Career Shines and will be able to create an account and essentially make their 4-year plan. How can they go about learning more?
Well, for the parents on the line, I would ask the school counselor and the students as well, ask the school counselors. For sure, the middle schools are keenly aware of the new requirement, which is why our training schedule is so crazy. We are on the road every day. Ask your school counselor. I think that would be the best place to start. Also, if the school counselor is unaware for some reason, they have I will talk to parents, students, counselors, anyone wants to reach out for me, we'll get the ball rolling for them.
Absolutely. Like you said, it's a free resource that the state of Florida has invested in, so we're happy to spread the word and let everyone use it. Maggie, that concludes our questions for today. I certainly want to thank you for participating and providing your expertise. You've been working with the system and traveling around Florida quite a bit, so we're thankful for the support you provide for all the schools here in Florida. For our audience today, I do want to invite you, if you're attending tonight, to check out the next couple of days that we have packed with interesting topics at Virtual College Week. Topics from how to fill out the FAFSA, resources, more resources on Florida Shines, information for those of you that are interested in technical centers, and those of you who have a degree and want to complete your degree, we have a session for that. So lots of interesting sessions at virtualcollegeweek.org. So we invite you to check those out and register for any additional sessions. Again, Maggie, thank you for participating, and thank you to those of you on the line. We look forward to seeing you in the next couple of days and certainly next year for our next fall annual Virtual College Week. Thank you.
Thank you, Najla. Good night.
Good night.